All right, let's jump right in, shall we? Welcome, everyone. We're diving deep today into a story that's got that kind of cool sci-fi thriller vibe, but also like a real personal mystery at its heart.
Ooh, sounds intriguing. I'm always up for a good time travel yarn, and I'm really curious to see how they handle, well, not just the time travel itself, but the impact it has on people, The choices they make, the consequences that come with messing with something as big as time.
Yeah, exactly. And this one, it's all based on Texto Colado, and it throws us right into the future, 3021 to be exact.
Okay, so we're talking far future stuff here.
Oh yeah, humanity's finally cracked time travel. But there's a twist, of course. There's only one device that can do it. It's called the Chrono Nexus.
Chrono Nexus, huh? Got a kind of ring to it.
It does, right. And it's not what you might expect, like no sleek little time machine. Yeah. This thing is massive. I'm talking enormous. This glowing ring, they say it's made of nanoparticles, and it can actually bend space and time.
Whoa, okay, so high-tech and powerful. But what really gets me is they've got this thing housed way out on the Lunar Research Facility, like far from Earth, almost like they're trying to keep it under wraps.
Yeah, the isolation definitely makes you think, right? Like, what are they so worried about? And that's where Dr. Calamendez comes in. She's our protagonist, and she's brilliant, a top physicist. But she's driven by this tragedy from her past. Her parents died in a mysterious explosion years ago, and she's convinced that the Chrono Nexus holds the key to figuring out what really happened.
So it's personal for her, not just scientific curiosity.
Exactly. It's like this deep need for closure, And that leads her to this, well, pretty daring plan. She wants to use the Chrono Nexus to travel back to 2975, the year of the explosion, to uncover the truth.
Bold move for sure. And I bet not everyone's on board with that idea.
You're right. There's definitely some pushback, especially from this engineer, Dr. Elias Kane. He's super cautious, keeps warning everyone about the dangers of messing with time.
Makes sense. There's always that tension with time travel stories, right? The temptation to change things versus the risk of, well, who knows what could happen.
He's like the voice of reason, always reminding everyone that time travel isn't just a simple undo button. But Kawala, she's determined, and you can't blame her. This isn't just about science for her. It's about like reclaiming her past, maybe even preventing that tragedy.
It really makes you think, wouldn't we all be tempted to do the same, given the chance? Go back and change something painful? Texto Colado really makes you confront that, the human side of time travel.
Absolutely. So Kella, she's getting ready for a trip, steps into the Nexus chamber wearing this special suit, and the description of the activation is wild. It's all these cascading lights, shifting images. Like, you really get the sense that she's being ripped from reality.
It's like the author's trying to pull us right into that experience with her, not just telling us about it, but making us feel it.
And then, bam, she arrives in 2975. And it's like stepping into another world, a bustling metropolis, hover cars zipping around. Even the air smells different. They describe it as this ozone scent.
It's that classic mix, right? Familiar, but with these futuristic twists, you instantly know you're not in Kansas anymore.
Right. And her investigation, it leads her to this corporation, Zenith Corporation's where her parents worked, and they were doing some top-secret research. But the details are super hush-hush.
Zenith, huh? Sounds kind of ominous, like there's got to be more to them than meets the eye.
Oh, definitely. There's this air of power around them. And as Kala digs deeper, she uncovers their true objective. And it's chilling. They're developing temporal energy weapons.
Temporal weapons, like weapons that use time itself.
Exactly. I'm talking about weapons that can disrupt the flow of time, like erasing events or even entire timelines.
No, that is scary. It takes the whole concept of warfare to a whole other level. Talk about dangerous.
Right. It makes you think, who would even have the right to wield that kind of power? And that's when Kawela, she stumbles upon this bombshell. Her parents, they weren't just victims of some random explosion. They were actively trying to expose Zenith's project. They knew how dangerous it was.
Wow. So they were trying to warn the world. That takes guts, standing up to a corporation like that.
It shows you how much they cared, how much they believed in doing the right thing. But here's the kicker. Kalila finds evidence that they were betrayed. And get this, it was by Dr. Elias Kane, the cautious engineer from her own time.
Wait, what? Elias, but he was the one warning about the dangers of time travel. This doesn't add up.
I know, right? It's a total twist, and it leaves us with so many questions like, how did he get involved in all this? What's his true motivation? We'll dive into all that and more in part 2 of this deep dive, so make sure you stick around.
Okay, so where were we? Oh yeah, Elias, the cautious engineer. Turns out he's somehow mixed up in all this. The betrayal. Zenith, it's a wild twist.
It really is, We're left wondering, like, can you ever really know someone when time travel's involved? And Kella, she's got all these pieces of the puzzle, but they just don't seem to fit.
Right, and then there's this data crystal her parents gave her. It's more than just research data. There's a hidden message inside.
A message from her parents.
Wow. Yeah, and it reveals something shocking. The explosion that killed them, it wasn't an accident.
What? But I thought, I mean, the whole reason Kella went back was to figure out what caused the explosion.
Well, yeah, but the message, it says they planned it, like they knew it was going to happen.
That's heavy. I mean, to know you're going to die
Yeah.
and use it as a way to guide your daughter to the truth, it's a lot to process.
It really speaks to their love for her, their belief in her, you know. They knew she was the only one who could carry on their fight.
But still, to sacrifice yourself like that, it's a huge burden for Kella to carry.
Absolutely. It's not just grief, it's this weight of responsibility. Like their death, it becomes her mission.
Yeah.
You know, it's bigger than just uncovering the truth.
It's like their sacrifice, it ignites this whole chain of events, and Kalella's right at the center of it.
And you can't forget about Zenith and those temporal weapons. Things are getting pretty serious.
Yeah, the stakes are definitely higher now. Kalella knows the truth. She knows what her parents died for, and she's not going to back down.
She's not just a scientist anymore. She's like a warrior fighting for the future against this huge, powerful corporation.
It's like she's got to stop them no matter what. They're messing with forces they don't understand, erasing timelines, changing history. It's terrifying.
In the story, it actually gets into the science behind it all, you know, like how they're using this temporal energy to actually disrupt the flow of time.
It's pretty mind-blowing, but also really scary. You start to think about all the consequences, the ripple effects, what happens to the people caught in the middle of all this.
Right, like who gets to decide what gets erased, what memories get lost. The ethical implications are huge.
And now, Kalla, she's not just dealing with Zenith as this abstract threat. She's facing the man behind it all, Elias. And he's not the cautious engineer she knew. He's young, ambitious, and he's fully committed to Zenith's goals.
It's like seeing two sides of the same coin. You know, Kalla fighting for good, and Elias, well, he thinks he's doing the right thing too, but his way is all about power and control.
It's a clash of ideologies, and the fate of, well, everything kind of hinges on this confrontation. It's a battle for the past, the present, and the future all rolled into one.
This is getting intense. We're on the edge of our seats here.
I know, right? And we're just getting started. The final showdown. It's coming up in part 3, and trust me, you won't want to miss it.
Ah.
Okay, so here we are, the final chapter of Texto Colado, and Calda, she's come face to face with Elias, the man who betrayed her parents, the mastermind behind those terrifying temporal weapons.
Yeah, it's like everything's led to this moment, you know, the weight of history, the consequences of messing with time, it's all coming to a head.
And the story, it really makes you think about those consequences, like what happens when you try to change the past? Is there even such a thing as a right decision when you're dealing with something as powerful as time travel?
It's tricky, right? Kalla wants to use her knowledge to protect the future, but Elias, he's got this whole different vision. He thinks he knows what's best for humanity, even if it means rewriting history.
Yeah, and that clash, it's not just about who wins the fight. It's about, like, what kind of future we're creating, who gets to decide what stories get told, what memories get preserved.
It's like that butterfly effect thing, you know? One small change, it can ripple out in ways you can't even imagine.
Exactly, and that's the challenge Texto Colado throws at us. It's not just a cool sci-fi adventure, it's asking us to grapple with these big questions, these ethical dilemmas.
And as Kalla confronts Elias, it's clear this isn't going to be easy, you know? He's not going to just back down. He's got his own motivations, his own beliefs, and he's got all of Zenith's resources at his disposal.
It's a David and Goliath situation for sure. But Kalla, she's not giving up. She's learned so much about herself, about her parents, about the power of fighting for what you believe in, even when the odds are stacked against you.
It's inspiring, you know? It's a reminder that we all have that capacity for resilience, for courage, even when faced with impossible choices.
And in the end, that's what Texto Colado was all about. It's about hope. It's about the power of human connection, even across time. And it's about recognizing that the future isn't set in stone. We have the power to shape it, even in small ways.
It's a message we all need to hear, you know, especially in times like these when things feel uncertain. It reminds us that we're not powerless, our choices matter, our actions matter, and we can make a difference.
Absolutely. It's about finding those moments of hope, those sparks of resilience, and holding on to them even when things get tough.
And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive. It's been a wild ride, full of twists and turns, but ultimately it leaves you feeling, well, hopeful.
I agree. Textoclado is definitely one that stays with you. It makes you think, it makes you feel, and it leaves you with this sense that even in the face of chaos, there's always the possibility for something better.
So, to everyone listening, thanks for joining us on this journey. Keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those imaginations firing. Until next time.